I think they're excited. I think they're scared, but hopeful.
Being hopeful makes you more scared. You want this to be something to help you, but then you become afraid that it won't.
I was pretty good at just faking the funk and not having people realize that there was an issue.
And it really is intimidating to go in there and start learning what the dogs know.
I got to the point where I realized I wasn't happy where I was in life and that I wasn't really living life. Let's go.
And it's just a sigh of relief because you know that there's somebody out there that's got your back, that's gonna try and eventually help you.
Let's go. Let's go. Heal.
It's that instant relief and calm and the sense of everything's gonna be okay. And no matter how bad I'm feeling at that moment, he's there with me. And it's just a reminder that you got this.
A Dog's Service is a TPT Partnership co-production with Believe It. Additional funding for this program has been provided by Friends of Believe It.
So my senior year of high school, I had no plans to join the military. It wasn't until I decided that I wanted to have a family and I wanted to marry my wife. And that's when I realized I needed a job other than making $10 an hour on a farm, you know. It's great work and I loved what I was doing. I couldn't afford a place on my own. And the military afforded me that. They gave me the ability to have a house and health care and all those things that you need to start a family that you don't have at that point.
I was a band geek. I was a huge band geek. I played the French horn and then the mellophone, which is a marching French horn. Yeah, that was my world, seriously. After I graduated, my dad was like, you know, you've got three choices. You can join the military, work full-time and pay rent, or I could go to college. Well, I'm like, I'm over school. I need a break. I'm like, pay rent? What the heck? I was just living here for free for all these years. And I'm like, well, I want to join the military anyway, so all right, I'm going. So off I went.
Not all wounds are visible. I have more metal in me than a small sports car. Well, when I got back from Vietnam, I wasn't aware of the welcome, and I'm using that word loosely, that we would receive. Got home and went up in my room and closed the door, and I didn't come out for a couple days. I talked to a couple friends of mine that were back from Vietnam, and I actually thought about re-enlisting because I just didn't think I belonged here anymore. People didn't like us. I got called names I didn't even know the meaning of. I couldn't understand what the problem was. And my friends, they didn't want to re-enlist. They said, you know, we made it home. We don't want to go back again. There's only so many times you want to push the envelope.
I was deployed to Iraq. I came home on leave and I had a panic attack. And that ended up with me in the hospital. And then I quickly got the diagnosis of PTSD and agoraphobia and a lot of other, a couple other things. The PTSD and the agoraphobia were what I was medically discharged for.
I was never deployed overseas. A lot of people say, well, how can you have PTSD if you've never deployed? You don't have to deploy to have PTSD. You don't have to be a combat veteran to have PTSD.
What causes PTSD is indirect or direct exposure to several events. One of them is war, of course, an assault, an accident, a natural disaster, or what we are experiencing now, which is a toxic biological event. And that includes Ebola, SARS, and our COVID-19 pandemic. What happens with PTSD is a person really has a huge physiological reaction to the event. I mean, it's not just psychological, but it's physiological as well, with a person's body being flooded with hormones, a stress hormone like cortisol, adrenaline. And so a person has a physical reaction in addition to a psychological reaction.
What does it feel like for those who are near someone who's experienced a traumatic event and is having these reactions to it?
Family members just feel like they lost their loved one, and it's very hard for them. They are emotionally out of touch. They don't share as much. They don't show as much. They don't laugh as much as they used to. They don't enjoy things like they used to.
I knew I was in trouble. And to be honest, I really thought I'd be divorced and a split family, and I'd be trying to figure this out because that's what happens.
He was diagnosed with PTSD in the process of him being medically chaptered out of the military. We struggled trying to get him help dealing with the issues of living with the things that he had to do while he was in. Transitioning into civilian life after being in the military, the first 10 years were hell. It was not easy.
When Kathy says it was hell, my demons were, I don't know who I am anymore. The Army is my life. The Army is what I do. The people that I'm with are my brothers and my sisters, and this is what we do, and all of a sudden, I can't be a part of that.
I swear the first 3 or 4 years, every other month I was telling him to get the hell out of the house. Lots of yelling, lots of screaming, lots of profanity, the kids hiding in their rooms, trying to figure out, well, what do we do? Where do we go? Because there were multiple times when he would either leave for a few hours, go for a drive, or I would take the kids and leave and go for a drive because it was just too much.
When it was happening, I knew things were happening that shouldn't happen. I knew I was acting a way I shouldn't act. The hard part was I'd go, why? That's not what you would normally do. Why are you acting this way, you know? I knew that my marriage was in trouble, and I knew that I was having a bad impact on my kids. I just didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know how to fix it, because you say, I'm sorry, I'll try harder. And then you try harder, and 30 seconds later, you're back in it again. The conversation about a service dog started when I made that connection that it's being alone. A big chunk of it is you don't trust yourself. You don't know what you're gonna do or how your body's going to react. And that's one of the big things with PTSD is your mind tells you one thing, your body tells you something else. In your own head, you can't get that together, and it swallows you. Part of the strain on Kathy's and my relationship was that she always had to be the one to pull me out of things. She always had to be the one to calm me down, to talk me through stuff. When I became really serious about it is when she looked at me and she said, you need to go look into this because I can't always be the one to bring you down. She's like, it's exhausting for me. And then I started doing my homework and I started looking into how can I do this?
Bonnie is a blessing. She's obviously not the cure for all of this, but it definitely makes things more manageable for him.
Let's be honest. If she's not here, I'm not sitting here. She does things to help me through life that nobody else, I think, I'll put it this way, nobody else should have to do. It would be unfair for me to expect somebody else to do that, and she does it. I trust her with my life. She's my battle buddy, you know? When you're a soldier in your war, you have a battle buddy. You got your companions look out for you. She's my battle buddy that looks out for me.
I feel like they classify PTSD as just the service members' struggle and disability. But if you don't get the help that you need, it's gonna have a rolling down the hill effect on the people that they live with. It's a life changer. You know, the statistics are that the guys that come back, either they kill themselves, get divorced, they become homeless. I don't know that we were on track for all of that, but the rates are just too high. There's too many servicemen and women who just get forgotten.
He basically has got my back 365 days, 24/7. And I have such a greater comfort level now with him than I did before. Before I had Ryder, I had a short fuse, and it was pretty easy to trip my trigger. I did things before, but a lot of them were forced things. It was things I had to do. I wouldn't voluntarily want to do them. Now there's no concern. Now there's just, I go where I want to go, I do what I want to do, I see who I want to see, and I enjoy life.
Ryder and River are the same age, and they went through training together. So Ryder and River are brothers, essentially. Having Doug and I go through the program, that definitely solidified the makings of our friendship.
Can you at all place a value on what River has provided you and your family?
Not at all. Not at all. I truly believe I wouldn't be here if I didn't have River. My husband would be without a wife. My kids would be without a mom. Yeah, I wouldn't be here, and you can't put a price on a person's life.
The price of Bonnie. What is the value of Bonnie? How she has freed up my life and freed me up to do more and become more. I'm able to go in and deal with things and talk about things because she's there with me, right? I'm able to heal and move past things that before I couldn't. I don't know how you put a price tag on that.
To quantify in a dollar amount what Bonnie means to us, there isn't a number. I know how much it costs to train the dogs, and $25,000, $30,000, but she's worth so much more than that. It's a life changer.
When I'm weak, she's there to help get me through things. I just don't know how you put a dollar amount on that.
Anybody, I think, that has PTSD due to service-connected disability, if they want one, they should be able to get one.
He gives me the strength that I need by him just being there. And you'd think as a mom that I would want to do that for my kids, and I do. And as a wife, I would want to do that for my husband, and I do. But there's just something different about having River.
We are on our way to pick up my friend's tractor, her lawnmower, and bring it back to her house. It was just at the repair shop. And before, I would usually make my husband do something like this. Because I would not be comfortable doing something like this without River.
He's that missing link that I need to have a life and not be isolated.
River! He's trying to get the fishies.
I tried for many years to get a service dog, and I ran into nothing but roadblocks.
What's the roadblock? Why aren't dogs being, for lack of a better word, prescribed to veterans with PTSD more regularly?
The gatekeeper for healthcare regarding veterans is the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. And if you look on their website and you look at PTSD and service dog, they say there's no evidence that a service dog will help a veteran with PTSD. And that's just out and out untrue. And we can prove that it's not true.
So the reason that I entered the space of veterans with PTSD and their service dogs is that people have come to me and said, this is huge. These dogs are saving lives, and we do not have any science behind it.
We've been able to, in partnership with Purdue University and the O'Hare lab there, to show that the dogs are doing lots of important things for our warriors. The most interesting is the morning cortisol. Somebody with a healthy brain has a normal morning cortisol rise as their brain kind of boots up in the morning. That's typically what happens. Someone with severe PTSD, that doesn't happen. They flatline, and then they will have spikes of cortisol throughout the day, often mimicking the fight or flight mechanism. So not waking up properly and then having these instant reactions is typical PTSD. So we did mouse swabs to measure their morning cortisol. And as expected, the ones on our wait list, no morning rise. But warriors who had a dog at least 6 months have a much closer to normal brain function when it comes to morning cortisol rise. So the physiology of their brain is actually changing and improving, which is spectacular.
There are many reasons why I think it's important to bring strong science behind an area that we seem to have emotionally positive anecdotes. Veterans deserve to know from a scientific standpoint whether or not they can expect this to work. Our veterans are struggling. They're looking for options. They're looking everywhere and anywhere. And so if we can save them some time and give them a true answer about whether or not this might work for them, that can save a lot of struggle and stress along the way. The second reason it's important to put science behind this is because our clinicians need to know. Clinicians have many veterans coming to them and saying, I want a dog, I need a service dog. And their process to determine whether they can advise that is to look at the scientific evidence. And if there isn't any, they're either going to say no, or they're really going to struggle about whether or not that they can offer this option for veterans. And because you and I have heard from many people, this service dog saved my life, we owe it to those veterans to have science behind it so that clinicians can make an informed decision and provide that option if it is going to be helpful for that individual. If this practice does work, we need to demonstrate efficacy so that there can be shortened wait lists, more dogs, and an improved practice. It's not just a dog is a dog. We need to understand how and why this works so we can improve that practice and make it better along the way for people who are going into this.
I've asked people at the VA what their problem is with, essentially seeing the benefit of service dogs for veterans with PTSD. And my conclusion based on their responses is that it looks like an uncontrollable expense, that they don't know how many veterans would want a service dog. They don't understand how they would get enough service dogs for veterans or how they would be able to even manage that kind of program for them. Our response has been, don't worry about it. Let us manage it. It's what we do. We're good at it. We don't do it for profit. So let's partner together and do this for as many veterans as we can.
The organizations that are providing these dogs play a critical role, not only in training and preparing the dogs, but also in matching and partnering the endpoint veterans with their dogs and following and helping them after that point once the dog is home. And it's our goal to partner with these organizations to collect strong science that can feed back into their practices so that they can improve them.
Hey, here, sit. Even though we're clicking and treating and the training seems like it might be fun, it can still be stressful. It's just like us, we work during the week, we get to have a little fun on the weekends. Yeah, their job is to be service dogs and to be trained and to do what they're told, but they're still dogs. They still gotta let off some stress, they gotta still have fun.
What's Echo whining about right now?
He's dying to go in that water back there. Okay. All right, come on, buddy. Drop. When I first started training dogs, it was hunting dogs. So you want something that's high energy, likes to run. But on the service dog side of it, you want something that basically wants to be your buddy, has a good temperament. They don't spook very easily. So like our dogs, when we go get them from shelters, most of those dogs have experienced something in their lives that makes them afraid of something. So we've actually gone to a shelter and brought the clicker and made the click sound, and a dog was spooked from it. So a dog like that does not have a very good back end to him, and any weird things that happen out in public will make them not be suitable for service dog work.
Oscar, heel. Sit.
When I first get here in the morning, it's the not very fun stuff. Airing out all the dogs, cleaning up the yard, dumping out the buckets, the things people, oh, you're a dog trainer, that must be so fun. Yeah, but you don't see the not so fun part of it. So that's normally how the day starts, just kind of getting all the dogs where they need to go. And so like down in the crates in the training room, they're only down there during the day while we train, just so we have less disruption going in and out the doors all the time. And then normally about 10 o'clock, a couple hours in, we start training.
Fetch, fetch, fetch.
The most requested skill that we get asked for is nightmare interruption. People have traumatic, kind of life-threatening dreams. Some veterans get to a point where it gets so bad that their significant other now feels threatened by it. So now they're sleeping in another room. They're afraid to go in. Well, to the dog, it's a game. Oh, if I fetch the blankets off the bed, maybe, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna feed me. You're gonna let me outside. We're gonna do something. The dog doesn't see it as this traumatic thing. They see it as, oh boy, this is going to be fun.
Gallop.
We require the veteran to do a minimum 120 hours with the dog, and that's just the veteran. And that's when the dog's already been through the program for 6 months to a year. So if you figure each day a dog roughly gets about an hour, hour and a half of training, and we have them for about a year and a half, and they get 5 days a week, so whatever the math is on that, it's quite a long time.
Let's go. You need obedience to basic commands to start with before the dog can do anything for the veteran. So we're looking for eye contact, dog that will heel, will sit. Ideally, when you move, it moves. When you stop, it just sits. She is quite a bright dog. She's been very easy to train. A super pleasant dog to be with. But all the dogs are fun.
Once you take that dog out, you're not hiding it anymore. It is out there for everybody to see. When I walk into a room and Bonnie is next to me, people look and you know they're thinking, oh, what's wrong with that guy, right? He's got 2 arms and 2 legs, and your invisible now has become visible. And that was my big fear coming out. And I'm sure other veterans are feeling the same way when they start out. But when you get out and you start moving along, the benefits they outweigh any negatives or worries or concerns that you have.
Fetch. I have anxiety issues, and I normally am not very comfortable around large groups of people. Shake. Good boy.
They come in the door the first time and they're scared. You know, they come in and they feel like they're being judged without even saying anything.
Sit.
Because you're walking in the door for a reason. You're walking in the door because something's wrong with you. And the veteran knows that. They're walking in like, there's something wrong with me. These people know why I'm here.
I'm hoping that Oscar will help me, deal with some of those situations where my anxiety kicks in. He also will help me with nightmare interruption as one of my PTSD symptoms. So he's supposed to take the covers off the bed, but instead he just jumps on me. He gets the job done, so that's all that matters. That and, just a buffer to help keep space between me and other people that I'm around. I got to the point where I realized that I wasn't happy where I was in life and that I wasn't really living life. And so it got to the point where there was still things I wanted to accomplish but didn't know exactly how. And talking with my therapist and psychiatrist and all the care that I get at the VA, it was just medication on top of medication on top of medication that wasn't really helping. And so I started to look at alternative treatments, and someone recommended looking into a service dog, and here I am. Let's go. Leave it. Come on. Come on. I look forward to coming every week to work with him. It's giving me a sense of purpose, like a reason for, just continuing day to day. It kind of got me out of the routine that I kind of buried myself in to kind of get through every day. And so he's already changed that for me. I'm getting out more in preparation for him coming home. And so I hope that continues as, he gets placed with me.
As soon as you start working with the dogs, it's just that initial benefit you get from it.
The veterans that I have met in therapy, they're tired of getting another pill because those pills come with so many side effects.
On average, our warriors are on 14 prescription drugs when we get to them related to PTSD. About 2/3 reduce some of their PTSD-related medications within 6 months of having a dog, and 1/3 roll up all of their PTSD-related medications. And we don't encourage that. We don't even talk about it. They just go back and they say, I'm tired of pills to wake up, pills to go to sleep, pills for night terrors. By and large, they're very unhappy just being on all these pills.
This is one of those non-drug therapies. This is one of those things that can help a veteran to improve their lives so much. And as I started watching my dependents, and I had a dependence, I had to have these pills in order to exist, in order to be successful. And As I watched that start to go down, I didn't need it anymore. I could cope on my own. That boosted my confidence. The work that is being done right now is one that rebuilds and changes people, to give people their lives back and to do it in a way where they're taking control of their lives and doing it themselves is one of the greatest works I've seen.
A Dog's Service is a TPT Partnership co-production with Believe It. Additional funding for this program has been provided by Friends of Believe It.